Hi, Panda Movies here. Today I'm going to explain episode 2 of a drama, action, and the survival Korean show Squid Game. Warning: there are spoilers ahead. Enjoy the video. From the previous episode, we left off with the Squid Game's guards with red overalls and black masks burning coffins in a furnace. They are filled with the 255 dead players from the last episode Red Light Green Light. This next episode is called Hell. Knowing that the players after the first game are now unstable, the Squid Game Red Muscle enters the quarters. They enter with guns, this time show how serious the games are. The guard with the square mask seems like they are the leader or commander of the guards with triangle masks. Let's call him Squareface. Squareface confidently congratulates the players winning the first game. He informs that 201 players are left and that 255 players have been eliminated. We all now know that elimination means death. The players, visibly scared, are trying to figure out what their next move is. Player 212 starts begging to leave. She says that she has a child outside that she hasn't even had time to name yet and that she will pay all the debt she has if they let her go. Soon, other players join her, begging for their sad little lives. Squareface says they are not trying to collect debts and that this game is actually a chance for them to turn their life around. The players, however, does not see it this way. Squareface reminds them that the rules that all of them agreed to, if a player refuses to play the game, they will be eliminated, and we all know what that means. At that moment, player 218 named Sang-woo suddenly remembers the third rule, that if enough players want to stop playing, then the game will end. No one will be eliminated in that scenario. Because of this, Sang-woo suggests voting to get out of the game. Squareface accepts this without question but then decides to reveal the prize money for winning the game. A big piggy bank then descends from the ceiling. It turns out that each player, if eliminated, adds 100 million won or approximately $84,000 to a prize pool which can be seen as actual paper bills in the piggy bank. As 255 players have been eliminated, this adds 25.5 billion won into the piggy bank which slowly fills up. Squareface then lets them know that if they leave now, the families of the eliminated players will each get 100 million won and the players that leave now gets nothing. The voting for whether to continue playing the game or to go home begins. Voting is done in descending order. As such, player 456 has the first vote, with the obvious vote for him being to go home. One by one the players each vote, with some voting to leave and other voting to stay, which confuses player 456. But then again, we all know that human greed knows no bound. The most surprising part is that player 456, Ji-hun's friend Sang-woo, votes to stay. Eventually, as the vote continues, we end up having a tie. 100 players wish to stay, 100 players wish to go, with one player left to split the decision. Player 001 now can decide the fate of all the players. Ji-hun is now having doubts on whether he can leave this nightmare, as he knows that player 1 has a brain tumor and as such really has no reason to leave the game. Player 1 stands in front of the two buttons, green to stay, red to go, contemplating what to do. After much time thinking, he decides to leave and you can see the joy and disappointment in the faces of the players. Squareface then informs them that the doors will remain open for them and if the majority of them wishes to continue the game can go on in the future. The players are then dropped off in pairs, almost naked and bound in random locations. Ji-hun is dropped off with the female pickpocket, player 067, and he helps her out of the rope, but she decides to leave without helping him until he promises that he won't chase her for the money she stole. She eventually helps him, at which point he immediately tries to get her to pay him back. She tells him she is sorry for his mother and leaves. Back in town, the first thing Sang-woo does is turn his phone on and sees messages from creditors and the police that after him. Sang-woo was dropped off with player 199, named Ali, and after visiting a convenience store he asks player 199 how he'll go home. He says he'll walk as he has no money to catch a bus. As a show of generosity despite being in huge debt, Sang-woo gives him some bus money, to which player 199 is thankful for. That morning, Ji-hun goes to a police station to report the murders, but the fact that the killers let them go home after the murder literally does not make sense for the police. Ji-hun then gives the officer the card with the number. The officer calls the phone number, but a woman answers and yells at them for calling so early. A younger police officer comes in with someone handcuffed and notices the card that Ji-hun left. Ji-hun bumps into Sang-woo checking on his mother. Ji-hun tells Sang-woo that he is super smart and graduated top of his class, so despite losing everything he can start over. However, Sang-woo says he owes 6 billion won, $5 million, and that he used his mother's house and shop as financial collateral. Ji-hun receives a call from the medical center. The doctor says if we don't treat his mother, she may need to have her feet amputated. However, his mother leaves the hospital since they can't afford the money. Ji-hun mentions that they have insurance and his mom reminds him that he cancelled the insurance and used up all cash they had. What an absolute loser. Meanwhile, the young police officer, named Hwang, is driving, having a phone conversation with his mom and heading to his missing brother's apartment. Once there, the landlady opens the door to his brother's apartment. In the room, he finds books of Jacques Lacan and René Magritte, which shows that his brother is influenced by psychological theories. He also notices that the fish is dead in the bowl, indicating he hasn't returned for a long time. Then he finds the Squid Game business card, but in a box-like coffin that we saw earlier. In the next scene, we see Kang-si, player 067, the pickpocket girl at an orphanage with her brother. Kiel, Kang-si's brother, says he doesn't want to stay there anymore, and everyone there thinks that his sister has been abandoned him there and he'll never see his family again. Kang-si promises she'll find their parents and that they live together next year. She says that she will never break her promise to him. Later it is revealed that she is a North Korean defector and that her family is still in North Korea and she needs help from a broker to get them out. She has been stealing money and saving up to pay this broker who keeps giving empty promises. Kang-si asks him where her parents are, but he says it's very hard to find and he needs more money to do this. Kang-si throws hot tea at the broker and puts a knife to his neck and threatens that if he is mucking around with her, she'll cut him. She also says she'll get the money and leaves. We now jump to player 199. He is back at his old workplace and demands his boss to pay him for the work rendered these past 6 months, which in turn caused him to lose his fingers. He is so poor that he can't even afford the hospital bills to help with the pain. Being the whole boss, he doesn't give a damn and says that he has pain all over and doesn't have money for treatment neither. However, player 199, Ali, saw a large sum of cash on the table and demanded the boss pay him then and there. The boss says he is busy and proceeds to leave. However, Ali chases him and they get in a fight. Ali then pushes the boss and he falls into some heavy machinery, crushing his fingers and dropping the cash. Ali takes money and runs. He eventually arrives home and tells his wife and kid to buy the first plane ticket and leave immediately without him. Sang-woo's mother is seen conversing with customers and boasting about how great her son is when the police tracking Sang-woo turns up and asks her where he is. She is shocked to find out that his son is getting arrested. We then cut to Sang-woo depressed, drinking and smoking in a bathtub. He gets interrupted by someone ringing the doorbell. Looks like the Squid Game guys have left a card and it is his second chance. The card reads time midnight June 23rd place, same as previous. Meanwhile, Ji-hun decided to visit his friend, the one from episode 1. Turns out the guy runs a local pub and Ji-hun wanted to see if he can borrow some money but was declined and scolded by the guy's wife. Looks like someone is whipped pretty badly. Ji-hun, depressed, goes to a local convenience store to drink some soju when he bumps into the old man, player 001. The player 001 says it's destiny to meet him there. They have a drink and some instant ramyeon together when the old man tells Ji-hun that he will be returning back to the game. He mentioned that he already doesn't have long for this life and he doesn't want to sit and wait to die. He says that he might end up winning out there, especially since in the first game, he was the first to complete it. The old man releases that everything the guard said inside is true and that life out here is even more tormenting. Player 101, named Jang Dak-soo, is a real-life gangster. He has asked to meet one of his underlings to tell them about what happened in the Squid Game and release that he has been invited again. The underling mentions that the big boss is looking for him for his massive gambling debts. They drive to a bridge and Jang Dak-soo tells the underling to bring all the boys with guns to camp the Squid Game guard. He knows it's just one of them and he can figure out where the game is held and then steal all the money, as he says it's just hanging in a dumb piggy bank. That way, he can pay off his debt and doesn't need to get hunted anymore. However, it turns out his underling isn't there to help and is there to betray him, as he called the gangsters over in Philippines, which he owes a lot of money to. Dak-soo quickly stabs the underling to death, welcomes his Filipino debt collectors and jumps over the bridge into the river below, escaping. With no options left, Ji-hun visits his ex-wife and asks if she can lend him some money for treatment for his mother. The ex says she has no money and that she only gets living expenses from her husband when at this moment, her new man returns home with the kids. Ji-hun's daughter is shocked to see him there and Ji-hun lies to say that he only wanted to see his daughter and is leaving. After he leaves, the new husband comes out and agrees to give him the money, but only if he never sees his family again. Ji-hun gets mightily pissed and Hulk slaps the guy and says that money doesn't solve everything. Unfortunately, the daughter sees the violence and Ji-hun just leaves, unable to explain to her what happened. On the way back home, Ji-hun sees Detective Hwang and Hwang asks Ji-hun about the Squid Game card and the story of the murders he overheard in the police station. Ji-hun goes he was drunk and made everything up, as he has given up on life at this point, and the detective tells him that his brother is missing and that Ji-hun might be able to help as he saw the same card and wants to know more about it. Ji-hun says that he is currently in no shape to help anyone and leaves. Once he gets to his front door, Ji-hun finds a new Squid Game invitation card. We then see Ji-hun, Sang-woo, Kang-si, Ali all return to the same location to be picked up for the next Squid Game. They all get gassed back to sleep in the car. However, this time, Detective Hwang tails the van that picked up Ji-hun without the van's driver realizing it. We also see that Kang-si game prepared this time and managed to not breathe in the gas and as such stay awake. This ends the episode named Hell. It's amazing that, despite knowing the prospect of losing a game means certain death, they would rather risk that than live their lives outside. If you enjoyed this episode and the recap, please remember to like and subscribe for more Squid Game recaps in the future. This is Panda Movies and I'll see you in the next one.